Hi, tonight I'm going to show Joe how to make a quick version of my type of yellow rice. I have about 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in here. And extra virgin olive oil, of course, is the only kind I ever use. So I have a 1/3 of a cup of chopped celery real fine. I have a 1/2 a cup of peppers and onions. And then I have, green peppers, then I have about a 1/2 a cup of onions. I'm going to add a little bit of these 2 spices as soon as I get this going. So this has got to saute because you want this to get nice and brown. You release all the odors and the oils and stuff like that. Otherwise, you know, it just doesn't get the flavor that it needs. I also sometimes put a bay leaf in here. You could also make it with chicken stock when it comes time to put the water in here with the rice, or you can make it with water. It's much richer with chicken stock, and I think it's better with a bay leaf too. I'm not sure I have any bay leaves, but we're gonna go ahead and saute this, and as soon as we get this cooked and going, then we're gonna start on some enchiladas. Okay, getting ready to start on this too. I'm gonna saute some lean ground beef because Joey wants tacos, and I'm gonna be a cheat and I'm gonna use taco seasoning because he wants these recipes so he can use the recipes. So I'm gonna try to gear the recipes towards someone who doesn't know how to cook like Joey, so that it'd be easier for him. So meanwhile, I do have my onions, green peppers, a little celery going in here. I'm not gonna add my garlic until this is sauteed more because I don't want it to burn. And if you're like Joe and you've never cooked before, they sell frozen packages of onions and green peppers and that type of stuff, frozen in a pack. So that if you don't feel like chopping them up yourself, you can keep those in the freezer whenever you want to use them. You take out as much as you want to use or you need, use them and then put the rest back in there. And that saves you from chopping all this stuff up. I like to do it this way because that's just me, and I've done it this way all these years. But for someone like Joey, it's much easier. He just got the frozen packages of diced peppers and onions already. So that's going. I forgot this. We're going to have to put a little cumin in the rice too. This is roasted garlic that'll go in there pretty soon. This is yellow food coloring that they use for Spanish food to make the yellow. Usually they use saffron. Saffron is so expensive that I use this to put in my yellow rice to make it yellow. Of course, you could always buy that little packets of Vigo yellow rice, but I'm pretty particular about my rice. This is Uncle Ben's parboiled long grain rice. And the one in the Vigo packages is short grain rice and it's not parboiled. So to me, when you cook it, it's harder. This comes out perfect every time. It won't take long enough for that. So I'm going to start on this too. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little salt in it because it won't taste like anything if you don't salt it. We'll probably have enough here because this looks like 1.5 pounds of meat that they picked up at the store. So we'll probably have enough of this to make maybe 2 meals of enchiladas, if that's what Joe requested. So we can put some in the freezer. While I'm at it, let me salt this. You see how it's getting nice and soft looking? It's not hard. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for this to get nice and soft. And if you were here and had smell-o-vision, you could smell that the aroma of onions and green peppers cooking is so good. And especially once I put the garlic with it, it's just absolutely delicious. It's a mouth-watering smell that reminds me of my childhood of my grandmother cooking all the time. And my Nana could cook. Both my Nanas could cook. Yeah, when I first got married, I didn't know how to cook at all. I knew nothing about cooking. So every night I would go on the phone and I would call Nana and I said, Nana, I bought some this or whatever, and I don't know how to cook it. step by step, she would take me through it. But then I also would remember watching her cook as a kid. So a lot of things I remember just by watching her in my childhood. But some things she had to go step by step through with me for me to be able to cook. And I don't know, I'm not a bad cook, I don't think. And like I said, this is not a all-day type affair. This is kind of done the easy way so that Joe can do it, because I want Joe to be able to cook when I'm not able to cook anymore. I don't want to have to, you know, eat oatmeal and ham sandwiches for the rest of my life when I'm older. Okay? Okay, you can see some of these onions now are starting to get a little bit brown. The ones that are cut real small. So that's when we're going to add our seasoning. We're going to add, that's about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons worth of garlic. Sorry, I measure the old-fashioned Italian way. We're going to add a little tiny sprinkle of cumin in here. You don't want, it's very strong spice, so you don't want it to overwhelm. See, you can smell the garlic and the cumin already, now that it's going. Okay, this is going to need 2.5 cups of water. So, I'm going to add the rice in here so that it gets the flavor. I'm going to let it saute a little bit. We're going to sprinkle a little of this in here, the amarillo. Mix it up a little. So all the flavors blend. As soon as that comes back to a boil, we'll put a lid on it and we'll turn it down so it can cook slowly. As you can see, the yellow food coloring will be turning yellow already, and it'll be absorbed into the rice. It's at medium-high right now, but as soon as it boils, I'm turning it down. This is on medium-high too, because I wanted to get it going. Slowly cooking. And let's read the ingredients on here. It said you will need taco seasoning mix, ground beef, and 3/4 cup of water. So we're going to put water and some tomatoes in it. And we're going to need, he wants enchilada sauce, so we're going to put some. There's a recipe that my husband really liked a lot, and the kids consequently liked it, is when I made tacos, or when I made especially these enchiladas, I would take the enchilada sauce, but I would also mix it with brown gravy and some of the meat, and put it on top of the enchiladas with cheese, and that's what the kids love the most. When you measure with something like this, these are always more accurate than something like this. Because of the water, in order to know that it's measured accurately, you have to get like this. That's not quite, but when you use these type of measurements, they're always exact because you don't have to look at the water. I don't like anything greasy. Okay, this is boiling. We're going to put it down to really low. Turn it like that. Now, one thing is I don't like grease in anything. So I have this little thing that I've developed. You see the grease in here? And grease, I don't like that. So I'm going to tip this. Try to do as much of this grease as I can. lot of grease comes out when you do it that way. And this was lean ground beef. Okay. So we got this going. I want to make sure everything's cooked. There's a little bit pink here. We're almost there though. Okay, so we're going to add the water. And I always do this with my mixes because you never know if it's hard or whatever in there. So. We're going to turn that down a little bit.
For what?
We're just going to turn it down a little to like maybe low. Since it's cooking so high already. And we're going to incorporate this taco sauce in here. So the enchilada sauce, I'm going to add a little bit of enchilada sauce in here too. Says half a cup of water and a can of tomato sauce. We're not going to use a whole thing of tomato sauce, but we can put like a half a cup of tomatoes in there. Okay, that's good. Obviously this has got to go down a little bit more. So this is cooking, and actually it is on low. So I'm not sure why it's boiling so fast. It said 1.5 cups of, where I put my measuring cup? Oh. Okay, so this is the tomato sauce. And we're going to do 1.5 cups of water we're going to add to it. I know if I fill it up to here, it's 1.5 cups. We're going to add the enchilada sauce. We want to make sure that this is really, really, really mixed well. Smelling good. Now we're going to reserve about a cup of this to put with the brown gravy, like my kids like it. And this has to get thick. So we're going to put this on over here. I'm going to put it on a little bit high because I want it to get a good start, and then I'm going to turn it right down. This is almost ready right here. So I'm taking just this much meat out to put with the brown gravy to go over it. I'm going to get a can of beans. I'll be right back. Black beans, and I rinsed them with water so they don't have all that sodium in it, because black beans and any kind of beans that you have in your cabinet always has a lot of sodium in it. So I rinsed some of that sodium out, and we're going to mix this together. I'm going to add a tab of tomatoes in there, just because I think it tastes better. So we're going to put some more chili powder on it. I'm sorry, I'm not a good measurer. I'm just not. And we're going to add some more cumin. Then we're going to taste it again in a minute. I think we need a little more cumin. And a little bit more tomatoes. Okay, I'm going to leave you for now so that I can start preparing stuff to get ready for the next step. Okay, this is brown gravy I'm adding to the enchilada sauce that is currently getting thicker over there. And then I'm going to add this one with the meat in it. Because this is how my boys like this. I want to make sure that every little bit is done. I don't want to have any of this lumps in it that didn't melt. And of course it has to come to a nice boil before it gets thick. Anything, I like to use cornstarch as a thickener, not flour. So anytime you use a thickening agent, you have to wait till it comes to a boil and then keep stirring it so it doesn't stick on the bottom. But the boil is what makes it start getting thicker. Okay, that looks good. We're going to add some of the meat in here. And this is going to be our sauce that goes over the top and on the bottom. So we're going to put some down here because we want to make sure that we have plenty for that. Now, when you want to make these, I don't have a big kitchen anymore. So it's very difficult for me to make these without a big kitchen. I'm so used to having a lot of kitchen. And of course, there's going to be a lot of this left over so that we can use it for something else okay. Let's get the cheese open. Joey likes a lot of cheese. So we're going to fold this once, pull it back, fold this in, fold this in, and we're going to fold it like that. Okay? Got it? We'll do some more here. Put it right there in the center. I put like 2 heaping tablespoons there. We're going to put the cheese here. We're going to fold it and pull it. See how I'm pulling this here? So we'll tuck it under a little bit. We're going to tuck it here. We're going to tuck it here. And then we're going to fold it again. Another thing you can do, and what I intended to do but didn't, was, it's not done yet. I was going to add a little bit of rice in here so you had a one-step meal. But we'll have to have the rice on the side tonight. Okay, so that is the beginning. I guess we're going to have to make 2 pans of this because obviously 1 pan, there's just more left. And this has the brown gravy on it, mixed with the enchilada sauce. We're going to put our oven on 350. I want to make sure it's all covered. I see some spots where I need to cover it some more. If you don't cover these places here, they get hard. So while the oven is heating up for this batch, I'm going to make this batch over here, but I'm going to make them with the rice like I intended to make the others and forgot. So again, we're going to put some sauce on the bottom. We're going to put some of this here in the middle. We're going to put some rice on top of that. Ooh, that yellow rice smells good, huh, Joe? Put some cheese on top of that. I'm going to roll it. Now, I'm just going to roll these this way. I don't feel like rolling with tucking them. So I'm going to put the rest of this into the gravy. I'm going to pour this over the top again. This is a mixture of enchilada sauce, brown gravy, meat, and the black beans. Yeah. Just put this little dab over here. I don't like to waste anything. So I'll put this little dab over there. And we're going to put some cheese on these too. And when the oven comes on, then we're going to sit down and eat. I'm going to have some yellow rice while I'm waiting. I'm back. So I'm turning the oven off because I think these are done. Because you know everything was cooked when we put them together. So mainly we're just letting them all, the flavor all meld together. And now do you want that cheese more darker? You can cook it a little more. You can put it under the burner to boil it. But it looks pretty good to me. What do you guys think?